What is going on, guys? It is WrestleMania here and welcome back to week 2 of our new video series recapping both Raw and Smackdown live, along with the latest news and rumors in wrestling. We've decided to break up Raw and Smackdown into 2 videos to get the information to you right away. Let us know what you think of our new format. So let's mix things up this week and head straight into the news. According to the Wrestler Observer Radio, WWE has reportedly made a huge internal decision that will see them add independent wrestling shows to the WWE network. Insane Championship Wrestling, also known as ICW, which is based in the United Kingdom, will be one of those promotions, and a number of other promotions are currently in talks with the WWE to add to their content. The deal, which hasn't been fully revealed, will likely see ICW available on demand rather than on a live stream. Mickie James is being rumoured to return on this week's edition of Smackdown. The word on James is that she signed a new 3-year contract with the WWE, and the plan since signing is for her to return to Smackdown this month. James was offered the deal after returning to the company at WWE NXT TakeOver in Toronto last November. Wrestling fans were a bit surprised at the announcement that Kurt Angle is being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. While Angle's accomplishments as being one of the greatest amateur and professional wrestlers can't be denied, his once rocky relationship made some wonder if or when he'd ever make it into the WWE again. Fans in Blackpool, Lancashire, England's Impress Ballroom, got to see what was reportedly an action-packed showcase of top UK talent competing for the new UK WWE Championship. The 2-day event was broadcast on the WWE network with 16 competitors vying for WWE's newest belt. The final saw Tyler Bate pin Pete Dunne after hitting the Tyler Driver 97. As for a Royal Rumble update, so far these are the wrestlers we know are scheduled for the Rumble: Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Big E, Braun Strowman, Chris Jericho, Seth Rollins, Baron Corbin, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Cesaro, and Sheamus. In addition, John Cena challenges AJ Styles for the WWE Championship, looking to win his 16th championship. Roman Reigns fights Universal Champion Kevin Owens for the belt, with Owens' BFF Chris Jericho suspended in a shark cage over the ring. Bayley will try to dethrone Women's Champion Charlotte, whilst Rich Swann defends the Cruiserweight Championship against Adrian Neville. Last week we reported that the murder case against Jimmy Snuka was dismissed. Sadly, Jimmy Snuka passed away over the weekend. Whilst my thoughts and prayers go out to the Snuka family, they also go out to the Argentino family, as it seems they will never have an answer to the death of their daughter, Nancy. So rest in peace both Jimmy Snuka and Nancy Argentino. Look out for a Behind the Titantron, which is surely to come out on this subject very soon. Now let's get into the Raw recap. The Verizon Arena in North Little Rock, Arkansas hosted the 16th January 2017 edition of Raw, as the show begins with a homage to the recently departed Jimmy Superfly Snuka. There was also a nice tribute to the late civil rights champion Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., as well as many other famous African Americans. There was also a quick recap of Roman Reigns' title loss to Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens last week in a handicap match. The former US champion tells the fans that he can relate to uneven odds, as he and his teammates in the Shield use a numbers game to gain their advantage many times. Reigns suggested that things will be different at the Rumble, as Kevin Owens' best friend Chris Jericho will be suspended above the ring in a shark cage. There was a mix of boos and cheers, as Reigns predicts he will win the Universal Championship and headline WrestleMania for the 3rd time. Not so fast though, as Paul Heyman introduces himself, saying that he is the calm before the storm. The fans chant Goldberg as Heyman asks Roman's permission to enter the ring, reminding everyone he is just an advocate. Heyman is flustered at the fans chanting Goldberg, but he reminds them Goldberg is not here tonight. Heyman has a Royal Rumble spoiler: eat, elimination, sleep. Roman says Brock must be somewhere sleeping, as he's not in the ring. Jericho then show up with Owens dismissing Heyman and Reigns' predictions. Chris Jericho says that Kevin Owens is going to retain his belt and he's going to win the Rumble, leading to the battle of the best friends at WrestleMania. Jericho is happy because no matter who wins, they will still be Universal United States Champion. Apparently Jericho and Owens are so tight they consider their individual championships to be one. Jericho says when this happens, all the stupid idiots in the audience and the company better watch it. Owens says he's the longest running Universal Champion and he still will be no matter who he faces at WrestleMania, something which clearly upsets Chris Jericho. It's all home week as Seth Rollins shows up as well, followed by Braun Strowman. Brock Lesnar, who hasn't been seen since his devastating loss to Goldberg at Survivor Series, arrives, lighting the fuse to dynamite in the ring. It's an all-out war in the ring as everyone starts fighting. Sami Zayn shows up out of nowhere attacking Strowman. Lesnar enters the ring and it's Suplex City with Zayn the only one remaining. Sami doesn't back down but gets suplexed for his troubles. Braun Strowman gets on the mat apron and it looks like he and Brock are going to scrap until Strowman walks away. Roman returns with Superman punches for Brock, Jericho and Owens. However, Lesnar quickly recovers and hits the F5 on Reigns. This was a fantastic brawl to open up the show, enticing the fans to see what other action awaits. It also continues the eventual breakdown of Jericho. Sami Zayn's return was brilliant, with Zayn proving he deserves the nickname the underdog from the underground as he stands up to Brock Lesnar. As good as the brawl was, the best part was the teased confrontation between Lesnar and Strowman. Once again, the WWE is setting up potential matches for Strowman down the road, with tonight's stare down as well as Strowman watching The Undertaker's return with interest last week. The WWE clearly has big plans for Braun if his push is any indication. The first match of the night starts off with Enzo Amore and Big Cass versus Rusev and Jinder Mahal. Enzo is back in action after being put on the shelf by Rusev. The time off seems to have helped as Enzo and Cass get the win with the boom shakalaka. A decent match, but both teams seem to be on booking autopilot. If the WWE wants a full-blown rivalry or feud between these two teams, they need to come up with a better compelling storyline. Enzo and Cass are way over, so why do they seem like a sideshow attraction? Next up we had Araya Daivari defeating Lince Dorado. This was more of a tune-up for Daivari's I Forfeit match against Jack Gallagher on 205 Live. Daivari picks up the win with the Cobra Clutch. Next we had a Raw Tag Team Championship match between Cesaro and Sheamus versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Anderson and Cesaro start the match with the champions getting the early advantage. Michael Cole reminds the fans that both Cesaro and Sheamus were arch rivals not too long ago. The challengers showcase their tag team expertise, cutting Cesaro off from Sheamus and pummeling the Swiss Superman with Smash Mouth Wrestling. Even when Cesaro makes the tag, the challengers wear down the fresh man. Gallows and Anderson continue double teaming Sheamus, but Gallows makes a mistake when he takes a swing at Cesaro, likely trying to draw him in and distract the referee. Cesaro isn't buying though, and Sheamus surprises Gallows with a big slam. It's a series of near falls as Anderson and Gallows try to pin Cesaro. Sheamus finally gets his wits about him and makes it in to break up a pin, and all four men start fighting. Sheamus takes out the referee in the heat of the battle, and Anderson and Gallows hit the Magic Killer on Cesaro, but the referee is unconscious. Anderson then covers Cesaro as another referee makes the 3 count. However, the original referee informs the ring announcers he's disqualified Sheamus for hitting him. Thus Gallows and Anderson win the bout, but no belts. After the match, Gallows and Anderson take out their frustration on Sheamus, hitting the Magic Killer on him. This was a fantastic match and shouldn't surprise anyone as Gallows and Anderson are a world-class tag team. The spirit of Dusty Rhodes must have descended on the booking team tonight with a screwy finish, but the match was so excellent it could be overlooked. Besides, it makes more sense to do a title change on a pay-per-view. Next up, a Cruiserweight match with Rich Swann as Cruiserweight Champion versus Tony Nese. Neville enters the ring from the audience, blindsiding Rich Swann. Referees try to break up things as Swann gets the upper hand and goes after Neville. Nese sees an opportunity and attacks Swann, but Neville tells him to let him handle things. When Nese refuses, Neville tosses him out of the ring. Definitely a good build-up, but WWE needs to be careful with how many pull-apart brawls they do. They can be exciting occasionally, but they did one last week as well. Match number 5 of the night saw Cedric Alexander versus the Brian Kendrick. This match was more about the love triangle between Alexander, his ex-girlfriend Alicia Fox, and Noam Dar. Alexander hits the lumber check for the win, but wants no part of a post-match celebration with Fox. After that we got Titus O'Neil versus Big E. O'Neil hasn't made any friends with the New Day either, so Big E puts up his Royal Rumble spot with the understanding that O'Neil will never talk to the New Day again if he loses. A seesaw battle between the two men, but Big E comes out on top, keeping his Royal Rumble spot and hopefully keeping O'Neil away. And then we have the main event for the night, a 6-man tag team match with Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho and Braun Strowman. The match begins with all 6 men battling. Reigns and Strowman throw their opponents out until it's just the 2 of them in the ring. The story of this match was Jericho's continued efforts to beat down Reigns, no doubt hoping to soften him up for his title shot at the Rumble. In the end, Sami goes for a hell of a kick, but Bryan counters, hitting a power slam on Zayn and covering him for the win. The match is over, but the agony is just beginning as Strowman throws him out of the ring. Strowman then picks up Sami Zayn over his shoulder and carries him back to the announce table. Seth Rollins makes the save with a steel chair to Strowman's back. Roman then hits a spear, knocking Strowman senseless. The two Shield members look like they're setting the table up for someone to get powerbombed. However, Jericho break up the party and the attack. Rollins then hits the pedigree on Jericho, but Owens hits a chair shot on him, followed by another to Reigns as Reigns tries to spear Owens. Owens grabs Reigns and tells him, "Remember Battleground," before powerbombing Reigns through the announce table. This wasn't a bad addition to Raw, and the Raw Tag Team Championship match was a classic, showing how much all four men have to contribute to the company. While the current roster doesn't feature superstars the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock, it's difficult to recall a time when WWE had so much fantastic talent from mid-card and up. How they use it is the million-dollar question, but if the last two Raws are any indication, 2017 could be an excellent year for all WWE fans. Well guys, that about wraps up my Raw recap and the news for this week. Be sure to check out my other videos. I'll have another video coming up this week and also my Smackdown recap along with some more news. Like and subscribe to the channel, which clearly has all the wrestling content you need. See you next time guys.